I can't count it out. You know how this business is to some people. They got it in their blood. They just got to do it. But I think Randy will do the smart thing, and I think if the doctors tell him not to come back, I don't think he will.
I just found out, and this is something that we had the pleasure of working with Herb Simmons this past weekend, legendary promoter in St. Louis. Little did I know, Teddy, and I haven't told you this yet, on the day of the event, we had a downpour at the hotel. And I remember coming in and saying, man, it's raining cats and dogs out there. It ended up flooding the town where he is a mayor. And it flooded his town. He was dealing with a flooding in his hometown while still trying to put on this event. So hats off to him. And I spoke to him yesterday. He still had not gone to bed yet because he's been so busy. And I was trying to tell him you need to get some rest. But hats off to him. A fantastic show, Teddy, for their first event, the inaugural event. I got to tell you, I thought it was really successful.
Yeah, Bill. I know you had your thing to do, but brother, you really missed one. That was.
I heard. I'll be there next year. I've already asked him not to do it on the May 15th weekend if he can avoid it. And also, congratulations to Herb on getting that amazing award as well.
Yes, the Lifetime Achievement Award. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, guys. The Wrestling Time Machine this week is kind of going to go back a few days to an interview that happened with Bill Apter and Bob Orton. Yeah. Now, Bill, you created a stir online now because his father said he's not sure if he's coming back.
What's going on with Randy Orton?
He's training, so, we'll see what happens. I don't know if he feels like going back or if it feels like he's ready to go back. I think he might, but then again, he's pretty well taken care of. I don't think he needs to. And I think the doctors have told him not to. But, Randy will do what Randy's going to do.
Yeah, that's right. Bob Orton was next to me at the 80s Wrestling Con that Tommy Fierro promoted in New Jersey. And Bob Orton, Cowboy Bob Orton, is always willing to be interviewed by me. And I talked to him about what he's doing, et cetera, about his school outside of St. Louis. And then we got to talking about Randy, and he said, well, Randy's going to do what Randy wants to do. And he says, as far as he knows, doctors have told him not to come back.
Yeah.
But when you get a Randy that's stubborn, and even the doctors would say, don't come back, Teddy, you can vouch for this. Even when a doctor says not to come back, 9 out of 10 wrestlers are going to say, I'm doing it anyway, right?
Well, yeah, they are. But you know what I mean? Back in the day, you know what I mean? Sometimes guys had to say that and do that because that was their only way of survival. You know what I mean? They couldn't take the chance of being off because that's how they paid their bills. But things are a little different now. But like you said, Randy, he's kind of hard-headed, and I think I've seen that in the past. But recently, I've had a chance to see Randy, and Randy is certainly, become a family man now, to me. I don't see that hot-headedness in him, that he used to have. I think he's calmed down and understands, what it means, to be alive. So I think Randy, I can't count it out. You know how this business is to some people, they got it in their blood, they just got to do it. But I think Randy will do the smart thing, and I think if the doctors tell him not to come back, I don't think he will. I mean, I don't know. This is just me saying it, but I like I said, I think he's pretty level-headed now, and he understands.
And I think his father did say that he was set financially, right, Bill?
He did. He said he really doesn't need it. But I think the family love of that business, starting with the grandfather, Bob Orton Sr., down to Bob Orton Jr. to Randy Orton. I mean, that's quite a line there of tradition that who knows if Randy wants to stop that at this point.
I would rather see Randy come back and maybe help Riddle in his match, be in the corner or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I need to see Randy perform because It's hard. And, going to the conventions isn't, again, go back to a convention. A lot of those guys are not moving around so easy because it takes your body takes a toll after a while. And if his body he can still move around fairly fluid, I'd back out if I was financially set. I don't want to be crippled the rest of my life.
Yeah, but the opponent can protect him. If they put him in there against an opponent that's willing to work with him and just be able to let Randy do what he can physically do, I think the fans would love to have him back.
Well, the business has changed. They don't have time for that no more. Okay, you got to either get in, do the job, or get out. It's just that simple.
Now, his injury was a back injury. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, but I'm thinking it's like I think what you said at the beginning right there, Mac, you know what I mean? If Randy's pretty much set, then, and the other thing you said about him taking somebody else under his wing and helping him out, that's what I would do if I was these guys. Randy's still a young man. Randy's still got a long future ahead of him. So that's what I would do too. If I were him, I would go to maybe NXT, take a job there and help some of those young kids and show them the right way. Randy Orton is another guy that knows how this works. And that's what you got to have people like him, Shawn Michaels, Terry Taylor, those guys that are down there, Larry Zbyszko. They know how this works. And that's what those guys need to learn from people that know what they're doing. And Randy is one of those people. And if Randy was smart, I'd take that. That'd be easy. And plus, he's giving back to the business. And then you can watch what you've done. If you've helped some of the young kids out, you can sit back and watch them and be proud of your work.
Yeah, because there's no other Orton family member at this point that can carry on the family name unless, of course, they create a character who's an Orton.
But not a blood Orton. So, yeah.
Right.
But let me ask you, if Randy wanted to come back and have one more match, maybe he is in bad shape and he's like, well, I can maybe pull off one match to go out on. Who's the opponent for Randy?
Gunther.
Oh, ouch.
Tough, but Randy, if he's okay, Randy is as tough as Gunther.
Boy, that's a lot of power coming at Randy, buddy, if his back is hurt.
You asked the question, but that's who I could see him against.
Teddy, how about you?
Brock Lesnar.
Oh.
Yep. The time period's the same. He actually came up from the same class. So there is a story there. Yeah. I didn't think about that, but the OVW days, and they could pull a lot of old film, I'm sure, to make this something huge.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Well, we both picked two guys who are insanely technical and vicious in the ring.
Teddy, you mentioned Randy in his early days, and I've always heard that Randy was maybe immature. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for in his early days of wrestling on how to present himself and handle himself in the back. Was that a problem early on?
Well, not a big problem. Randy was just a guy that, he just didn't put up with no shit. You know what I mean? So, you could say something to him. If it was right, he'd agree. If it's not right, then he'd let you know. Okay, so that's how Randy was, And like I said, he was a little hot-headed. Sometimes they had things that they might have wanted him to do that he didn't feel comfortable with, and he'd tell them, I ain't doing it. So, I've seen, that ain't just been him. I've seen a lot of guys that have come through and done that. Some guys have success with it, and some guys don't. But Randy understood, he knew where to draw the line. So, he knew how far to go. So Randy was smart, you know what I mean? And I really admired him a lot, man.
There was another Randy who I remember that could be extremely hot-headed. Ooh, that was the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Yeah. Randy was, he was a little bit of a hothead. Yeah, I did know him. I knew Gorgeous George, his valet, that he was traveling around with at the time, too. And I'm trying to remember what her name is, Frankenstein or something. I can't remember. But
George Frankenstein, that's what's her current name. Yes.
And she was a sweet, sweet lady, from what I can tell from the meeting her. And Randy was just crazy as all hell. So, but he was super nice, too, at the same time. When it came to Randy getting into the WWE, he got hooked up with a great group. He couldn't help but become huge anyhow. He's already a third-generation wrestler, and he gets into a group that includes Triple H, Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and Batista. There's not a slouch in the bunch. So, I mean, how are you not going to learn? Teddy, did you have a chance to watch some of that growth with Randy as he came through?
Yeah, I was right there when he came in. Yeah, I watched the whole thing. I watched him from that group until he went out and started doing singles on his own.
Yeah. Now, you were in a lot of promos. I've seen you on TV quite a bit with Randy Orton. Was he easy to work with in the ring on promos?
Yeah, I didn't have no problem with him. Never had a problem with him. He was always funny, you know what I mean? And, I'd do something and he'd laugh about it. So we always, and then back then, man, you know what we did? We had fun. You know, so we had a promo to do, man. We'd knock that promo out. We didn't be playing around like taking 2 or 3 times and all that. We were happy. The morale was great. So we just waiting to talk. And a lot of times we ad-libbed a little bit, but we made it feel, real. So that way Vince didn't bother, as long as it was real and we wasn't saying something that was stupid. Long as it meant something, then Vince didn't have no problem with it.
Yeah.
And those were the days when the writers weren't scripting every single word, correct? They gave you the idea pretty much and told you where to go with it.
Yeah. When they wrote it out, but when they write something out, you don't supposed to go out and perform like it's a poem. You know what I mean? That's if you did that, you might as well take the paper out and read it.
Yeah,
so read the paper and make that become you. I wasn't a character. I was me. I took what they put on the paper and I knew what Vince wanted on that paper. Then I put the Teddy Long with what Vince wanted. Yeah, so that made it real. And so that's why I was always comfortable, because I was me. I wasn't trying to be something, some other character.
Yeah.
He went through a period, if I recall, where he was, during the Legend Killer days, where he was great gimmick early on. But in the late stages of the Legend Killer, there are a few people who actually got the nose bent out of joint over the angle that was presented on TV. If I'm not mistaken, I think Mark Henry didn't appreciate the way that an angle played out on TV with the Legend Killer. And I want to say there was one other one that had the same issue with the way how they were kind of treated. Even though Randy was just playing his character, the angle itself seemed not to go over well with the other guys. Teddy, did you hear about much of that?
Only thing I heard just what you just said, that Mark Henry wasn't too happy about it, and I think the other guy was Big Show.
Yeah, Big Show was the other one.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. But you have to take it for a lot of the fans that were around in the days when those legends were on top, and then you have this young guy killing them off. It didn't sit well with a lot of people, but what a great angle it was.
Oh, yeah, really. Very much so.